and welcome to another episode of Our Point of View. I'm Jacqueline Sheely Lewis, and today we will be interviewing Mr. L. Allen, who is an educator. He said, thank you. Okay, you're welcome. He is an educator, and we're going to be talking about hip hop and the music influences on our youth. We also have with us Dr. Shirley MacArthur Williams, and she's going to be giving us some feedback as well. Oh, we can't forget, we have Eric. Captain Jackson's in the house.
Yeah. Wow. I thought we just aired, but hey, it's all good. It all works. It all works.
So, and Mr. Allen, tell us a little bit about your education history.
I've been in education 18 years. I started off as a school resource officer, then later became a counselor, and I'm still a counselor 18 years later.
Wow. So what grade do you
My previous experience is in high school, but now I'm in middle school.
Okay. So when you were in high school, did you see a lot of this influence, this music influence on our students?
A majority of the behavior in high school was impacted by movies and specifically rap music.
Rap music.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And you see more negative behavior in the high schools because of rap music. Because rap music nowadays is like a poison. It's poisoning our youth.
Okay, so is that with both the male and the female, or is it more with the guys?
It's male with the female. It's both male and female. You know, you had Nicki Minaj come out, and when she burst out on the scenes, you know, a lot of our students would wear orange hair, green hair, wigs, and you see a lot of the pants sagging and the twist in the hair and the tattoos on the neck, and it just continued just to manifest into something that was just kind of just out of control.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dr. Williams, let me ask you. Are the rap artists nowadays, are they our children's role models? Is this what the children want to be when they grow up now?
They use them as mentors, not us in the real world. They'll turn to YouTube, they'll turn, they have videos. So they're their mentors, and that's who they imitate. That's who they emulate. That's who they want to be. Mm-hmm. Not so much, let me go to school to get an education, let me go to school to be social and be popular.
So now, Elle, tell us about the transition from high school to middle school and what was the biggest impact?
High school, basically, of course, they're going out into the real world, they're becoming adults. They're more serious about life. So it was a little easier to manage high school students as opposed to middle school students. Middle school students now, especially students in the demographics I serve, they're not really serious. They're not really focused. A majority of my school, I think over 80% of my school, of course I can't say the school name to protect the school, but they're at third grade reading levels. And they're sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. So because of a lack of parental involvement, they just don't care. They just come to school. So we're serving now more like, I know I am specifically serving more like a babysitter every day.
Yeah. So the parents are dropping the students off, and then they come back and pick them up when it's time to pick them up from school.
Exactly.
And they're not communicating with the instructors at all?
No. We may have a parent night or a curriculum night, and we have an auditorium and only maybe like 3 or 4 parents. So it's pretty sad results.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, well, you know what? When we come back, we're going to talk to Dr. Williams about what we can do as far as maybe getting the parents involved a little bit more. And then we're also going to finish talking to Allen about, the parents and why is it that they're not involved. We'll be right back more with Our Point of View in a moment.
No matter where they are, the restless imagine being somewhere else. And when they get there, they do things most people can only imagine. That's why we made the all-new Jeep Cherokee with its exclusive Select Terrain system for class-leading capability for wherever you find yourself.
Our team helps provide quality health care to everyone in our community. We save lives every day.
The job that we do increases the quality of life within the community. We have to be dedicated day in and day out.
My name is Doris, and I've been working at my local library since 1999. We all are trying to serve the community together. Being a member of a union, standing together, that's what it's all about.
Crest presents
From the United States, Lori Hernandez.
I got this. I got this. I got this.
Start your day right with Crest and get ready to face anything with a smile.
I got this.
Try Crest. It works.
Welcome back to Our Point of View. We were speaking with Mr. Allen, and we're talking about music influences and the youth in the high schools. So with our youth, we're having a problem with the parents being active in their child's education. What do you think that causes that?
Basically, parents who their parents weren't involved in education. It's just a continued generation cycle. You know, it just rolls downhill. And their parents weren't involved. So obviously they're not going to be involved in their children's education. And a lot of those parents or a lot of those children whose parents are not involved in their education, these children tend to look for other influences. And that's where your hip hop comes in. Me, myself, I'm the primary influence in my household. And I try to explain to my children that rap music is just entertainment. And that's all you should see it as. A lot of these rap videos, you see these Lamborghinis and these big $5 million houses. You know, the record company actually rents these. Right. So, you know, but they can't see that in middle school or high school. They only see what they see. And it's like, I want to be like Lil Wayne, or I want to be like, you know, Young Thug. So, you know, it's just a problem. It's when the elite says, when they look at X-Clan, Public Enemy, KRS-One, these guys talk with substance.
Right.
They were teachers. As a matter of fact, KRS-One, he called himself a teacher.
Yep.
And then you had the elite come and say, well, listen, they're uplifting the minds of these children. They're starting to develop a conscience. So we got to dumb it down. We got to go in another direction. So as a result, when you listen to hip hop today, they're talking about nothing but foolishness. Nothing that has substance at all. Alcohol, women, you know, and just making money. So a lot of my middle school students are walking around with paper money, and you make it look like money, and they walk around counting it.
Wow.
So when I look at it, I say, wow, this is crazy. They're really being altered. Their behavior is being altered because of rap music and Fortnite or whatever you want to add in there. So, you know, a lot of people refer to me as a conspiracy theorist, but it's not a conspiracy. It's a fact that rap music is destroying the minds of young people.
So these youngsters who are trying to be like the hip hop and the rappers and all, do they have a goal to go to college, or do they want to go to a technical school and become a producer, or they just want to be a rapper? That's
a great question. But if you go back to parental involvement, remember, the parent should be the primary influence in the household.
Right.
And if you don't steer your child into a direction saying, hey, and expose your child and take them to NASA on a field trip or things of this nature and saying, hey, if you're an aerospace engineer, you can make this amount of money and you can live like this. Yeah. Well, then if you don't have that and that parental involvement, then the other kids, you know, they just follow the rap music and the rap lyrics, and they just kind of get lost in shuffle. Because we have a lot of students who want to be successful, but they don't have any guidance, any direction, or anyone saying, hey, I'm your parent. What I say goes. I'm the primary influence, and this is just basically entertainment.
So do you think that would have to do with the fact that some of the parents nowadays are younger parents?
I think it has a lot to do with that. You know, babies having babies. Yes. Right. I had a parent the other day come to the school, and since the beginning of the school semester in August, I've tried to contact her at least 6 or 7 times because of her child's behavior. And once I confiscated the child's cell phone because he was trying to call some other guys to come up and jump on another kid that said something to him. Oh, wow. Once I confiscated the cell phone, that's when the parents showed up to the school afterwards and used a lot of profanity towards me because I confiscated the cell phone. So the parents, you know, their priorities is skewed, and so the kids are going to automatically be that way.
Hey,
Speaking of cell phones, I'm sorry.
let me ask you something.
Yes, sir.
That's something you said earlier. Are you finding with the disappearance or the music, the correlation with music in schools? Are you finding that it's feeding into the whole pipeline of prison as it relates to?
Bingo. There's a documentary called The 13th. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but it'll answer that question that you just referred to. It's basically being set up. I mean, what other place to set up the pipeline of prison other than going into the school system and starting when they're young? I mean, it's the perfect place. And my leader told me, hey, listen, he told the teacher, we're not going to do F's. I want to give them I's, incompletes. And you're pushing these students forward, and they don't even know how to read and write.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Hip hop has been around a long time. What's positive? What can the students take out of hip hop that will be a positive influence? Because we look at it in such a negative connotation as it is, with the sagging the pants and the jewelry and the gold. You know, what can be positive? What can we take away from that to give them some positivity?
Considering the fact that rap music on a whole is so negative, it would be hard to answer that question.
Okay.
What can you take out? It's basically saying, what can I take positive out of something that's so negative? You see what I'm saying? So, but we had a group come up to the school the other day, and they rapped. They did a lot of rap music, and it was all positive. And they were basically basing their rap on critical thinking. So they had a huge 70-inch screen on the wall, and every word that popped up on there, they would freestyle based on that word. And they tied it into critical thinking and show that if you become a good rapper, then you can think critically. You can do geometry, you can do algebra, you can do, biology. So it was really interesting. But if we can take this and show the kids that and the parents, then we can really move a mountain in terms of rap music. But because the industry owns the rap music and the rap companies, and they want it dumbed down, they don't want these kids to be smart, because once these kids are already brilliant. But if you control the visual and the audio, what goes on in their heads, you can control how they dress, you can get them to sag pants, you can control how they speak. And that's what's happening, unfortunately.
Okay, well, speaking about the way they dress, do you think that if the rappers, if they came together and they changed the way they dress, or changed the way they sang, and changed like the tattoos and everything, if they made a change, made a difference in their life, do you think that the students will make a difference in their life because they're their role models?
I would say yes, because unfortunately, rap music is a stronger influence in a large number of households in lower socioeconomic communities than the parents are. So if rappers would come out and they would start dressing a certain way, start using appropriate English, appropriate grammar, the kids would follow, especially from those homes, because that's the major influence now.
It's interesting how that might turn out to be a challenge, because a lot of what they rap about, unfortunately, is about negativity. Right. They're not rapping about staying in nice houses. Well, they are, but not in the right format.
Right.
They're not talking about going and getting an education, going to college, doing things productive in the community like they should. So the thought would be, yeah, you're absolutely right, that we hope that they would take that as a jump start to the positive thing, but it could possibly have a negative effect on the entire rap game or hip hop as it is, because of the way it is.
Okay, well, when we come back, we're going to continue talking about the influences that the rappers have and how they could possibly change the way our youth are thinking.
Yeah.
We'll be right back, more with our point of view in a moment.
ABFF represents the very core of what has always sustained us as a people, community.
This is such a crucial space where we can see ourselves
and feel represented.
A film festival that said, you are enough.
This is where I started, where Ryan Coogler started.
The first major festival to have my work online.
Thank you for celebrating our art.
I feel the love.
pants are gone.
Oh, my pants are gone.
Bye-bye, britches. You wanted a sundae, but didn't want to put on pants. So I got you Blue Bunny loaded sundaes. Delicious sundaes, right from your freezer. You don't even have to put on pants to get them.
Meeting the girls from Mahjong.
I did not take Grandma's pants.
Blue Bunny loaded sundaes. Soft ice cream loaded with toppings, deliciously swirled together.
Give in to the bunny.
Welcome back to Our Point of View. We're sitting here kicking it with Alan and Dr. Williams, but we're here speaking specifically about rap music and the influence of rap music with our youth today. And Alan, I know you were alluding to some great points before we went to break. I wanted to say that I think it's an ongoing circle here. We go back to influence and things like that. And Alan stated earlier that it's like a daycare at school. Parents just drop their kids off and things like that. So it puts me in the mindset of thinking who's influencing the kids if the parents aren't. So the only thing that they had to fall back on is the rap music. And I know when I was younger. Now I am a musician. I am a music lover. I'm a singer. I play the piano. I write. And when I was younger, actually, I didn't really have, musicians or people like that as influences for me. My parents were. My dad was. My dad was a musician. My grandfather, he wasn't musically inclined, but he was a great example of a powerful man. So although I love music, I still kind of gravitated to what I knew and what was in front of me. And the fact that I spent time with my parents and things like that, that's what I gravitated to. And the fact that Alan said earlier that, sometimes parents just drop their kids off at school as if it's like a daycare. Well, what do they have to turn to? You get what I'm saying? So I think it's just an ongoing cycle. And I really think that it's important for these parents to really start getting involved with these kids' life. They want to complain about what's going on in this world. They want to complain about the killing. They want to complain about the robberies and things like that. But when the kids only have something to turn to, like the music where they're talking this religiously, and that's all they hear, I mean, what do you expect? So don't just complain about it, do something about it.
Now, I remember when I was, when my younger two children were in high school, I was the PTSA president. So I was up there all the time. My youngest son, I literally went to school with him for 4 years. The first 2 years, I was a volunteer at the high school. Then the second 2 years, they actually hired me. I was a parent liaison. And I was also the PTSA president. So when we would try to have PTSA meetings, trying to get a parent to that school, you had to feed them.
Right.
Yeah.
You had to feed them. You had to have food involved because they're like, well, I'm just getting off work and I'm tired and I got to feed my child. So we would have, we heard that. So we would have a meal provided for them. Right. But the only thing is, we're having our meeting first and then we'll feed you to make sure that you stay there. But that's when we got a lot of people there, And then like with the high schools, when, the only time you'll see a parent up there is like, when it's graduation time and their child didn't pass, if there's an issue with the grades or something, that's when you see that. Right. So, do you take advantage of that opportunity when a parent comes up there?
I do. A lot of times, though, they don't want to be bothered with that, So that's been a great challenge getting them up there. One principal I worked for in the past, they had to pass the Georgia High School graduation test in order to graduate. Right. So he said, well, don't give the scores back to the students. Give it to the parents. Get the parents up here. So it was an awesome strategy, and it worked. It worked to get parental involvement. Yeah.
Wow. I was going to say earlier, I've been in several middle and high school classes, and every student has a cell phone. Every student has a cell phone. They're constantly on the phone. They're constantly listening to music. It's an all-day thing. So how do the teachers get the students to put the phones down? Is there some way that the school can, get the phones out of these students' hands while they're in class, while they're learning? How do they do that?
That's a great question, and I can only, of course, answer on my experience. Some teachers who have great classroom management and the kids know that the teachers don't play the radio with them. They can get these kids to put away their cell phones and not have it out during class. Or she'll have a bucket at the door and say, your cell phone goes in there. If I catch you on your cell phone, I'm going to contact your parent, this, that, and the other. The other option is basically, I think Boston Public Schools did it. They put I don't know if you call it a scrambler or something, on that building. So when they walked in the building,
Wow.
no one had cell phone service, including the staff, including the principal.
So what do you do in case of an emergency? Like that? Like something happened in the classroom. Did they have a landline in the classroom?
They had a landline in the school, not in the classroom, but in the administrator's office, or a nurse's office, or was somewhere you can go to a phone and contact somebody. We grew up with nothing but landlines.
Right.
Yeah, and
Well, they had intercoms in the actual classroom where you press the button
and you can talk
and dial all
Right.
that.
There you go.
But you know what? I recently graduated from college. Well, actually, in 2016. And when I went to college, my class, our professor, she made us put our phones in the she had like a little box up there. She said, everybody needs to put your cell phone in there if you want credit for today.
Right.
If you want credit, then your phone goes there.
Right. Wow.
And if you don't want the credit, then don't put your phone there.
And I'm glad you brought up the point, because really there's a huge difference between paid education and free education.
Right.
And no one agrees with me with this, but I don't feel they should have free and public education, because there's a loss of accountability. Okay. If I drop my son off every day, let's say I'm a cashier at Walmart, or let's say I'm a clerk at the gas station, and I don't make a lot of money, but you charge me based on my income. Mr. Allen, you have to pay, in order for your child to go here, you have to pay $30 a week, or whatever the case is. That $30 a week, with me being a clerk at the gas station, is a lot of money to me.
Right.
So if I'm sending Junior to the school and he's acting a fool, he better be acting right. If not, Junior's going to have some problem, because he'll say, son, I don't send you to school, I pay for this. So I have a problem with free and public education, but that's way over the
Now,
top.
what about the parents who are on assistance and don't have the income? They're not working. They're getting, help from the public, from the home.
These same parents you're referring to, a lot of my kids, they come up there with brand new Jordans and brand new LeBrons on.
Yeah.
So they can get the money,
Mhm.
even if they're on assistance.
Yeah.
On a side hustle, where they're doing hair or whatever, it can be done. And, the problem is there's no accountability.
No accountability.
Everybody's coming up with excuses and no accountability.
But that goes back to what Captain was saying, that tunnel when they get put out of school. And where do they go? Detention centers. From detention centers, they go straight to jail.
And a lot of school districts now have gone away from out of school suspension. And a particular school district that I worked at for a while, they did a poll, whatever, they did a study, and in that school system, there were 1,500 or so white students who were suspended out of school. It was like 2,300 Hispanic students, and you would believe it was 30,000 African American students.
You said 30,000?
30,000. It was over 30,000.
Suspended? Wow.
Suspended out of school. Yes. So because of that, in 1 year. So they came back and they said, those numbers are crazy. We can't continue to do this. So now they've gone away from suspension. So now, even if we suspend somebody, we have to get permission from the principal, because they said you can't keep suspending everybody because it doesn't look good. But the problem is, you can't have effective teaching and learning unless you have law and order.
Right.
You can't teach effectively in a chaotic environment. So now, it's just every day we come to school, we just got chaos. And the teachers are trying to do the best they can to teach. But if there are no consequences at home, there are no consequences at school, then what do? So we're just losing teachers every day, and they want to come out of the classroom. I haven't met a teacher yet that graduated from college that wants to actually, after 2 years of teaching, say, I'm going to retire teaching. It doesn't work like that. And they want to come out of the classroom, or they want another career. Wow. So it's pretty sad.
Well, we're going to take a break. We're going to come right back with more of our point of view, and we're going to continue talking about the influences that our music has on our children. We'll be right back, more with our point of view in a moment.
Nope. Backspace. Over.
It feels like we started searching 2 hours ago. Feels like we never gonna find this show. No. Get it, flip it, tip it, dip it, flip it. Get it,
Hey Google,
get it.
Hi, how can I help?
Oh, yeah.
Got directions to the nightclub here. And if you get lost, just hit me on the old horn.
Tom's my best friend, but ever since he bought a new house,
It's a $10 cover? Oh, okay. You can see that on the website.
he's been acting more and more like his dad.
Come on, guys, jump in. The water's fine. Tom Pritchard. How we doing? Hi there, Tom Pritchard. Can we get a round of jalapeno poppers for me and the boys, please? I've been saving a lot of money with Progressive lately, so.
Progressive can't protect you from becoming your parents, but we can protect your home and auto when you bundle with us.
And welcome back to Our Point of View. You know, we talked about a lot of great things. Unfortunately, a lot of it was negative, but there is some positivity, I am assured of it. So my question to you, Elle, is moving forward, what can we do as parents? What can we do as educators as it relates to music? Who do we need to lobby, essentially? Who do we need to push to say, hey, look, we need music back in the schools. It's important. It helps out with so much that we're going through there. We know there are positive influences. We've seen that. I was in music all through elementary, middle, and high school. I believe I turned out all right, you know.
That's your opinion.
Oh, shots fired.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
Bang, bang.
When that's the problem, it's too many shots being fired.
Oh, that's another show called Guns.
But to simmer down the educational gunshots that are going down, what can we do to help reinvigorate getting music back in the school?
Well, let me be as transparent as possible.
Please do.
Being that a lot of our lobbyists and politicians are of non-color, they don't want to see the uplift of young people and to become conscious and to start really speaking properly and you know, focused on college and things of that nature. So I say that to say we basically need to depend on self.
Yeah.
Okay. And just become an independent group of people to teach our children that this is the way to go and not that way to go. Because if we're going to depend on our politicians and our lobbyists, then, you know, it's not going to happen.
Right.
So, I mean, I hate to sound negative, but I'm a realist too.
Right.
Yeah.
So does that mean so with having said that, does that mean we go harder in the paint with our school board members, you know, making sure that we show up to the meetings, making sure that we voice our opinions, making sure that we do our very level best to say, look, this stuff is really, really important, and we've got the data to show it.
I agree.
And I think another thing we can do as well is sex education in the school. So that way we won't have a lot of teenage pregnancies. Because like we said earlier, it's a lot of babies having babies.
Right.
So if we, you know, work on that aspect of it, then maybe we won't have, you know, the issue. That's what I'm thinking.
And I think in addition to that, even if we have sex education in the schools, it still starts at home.
At home, everything is at home, right?
You know, you have to teach your children that. I think I was reading at AJC the other day, and they said Atlanta is an epidemic for HIV. They're comparing Atlanta to third world countries now. And a lot of our teenagers, they don't even know that. But I think if we sit down and we teach them that, hey, we have a real problem out here, and you can be the next victim, I think there will be some deterrent right there.
But we have a curriculum in school that we have to follow.
Right.
So can that be added in there like that? I mean, like in a health class or something?
It could be, but the upper echelon, the people at the Board of Education, the superintendent focuses on the Georgia milestones.
Right.
They only want to teach what's on the Georgia milestones because it makes them and their schools look good.
Right.
As opposed to sex education or African American history or things of that nature. We don't want that because that's not what's on the Georgia milestone. We want what's going to make me look good. And that's why that was a result of the big test, the cheating scandal we had a few years ago.
Right.
Yeah. So there are too many hands in education, like such as politicians. And the ones who implement these rules and these laws in education, they never set foot in the school. And I never understood that. They never been teachers, they've never been administrators, but they make all of the laws and all of the rules of what type of curriculum we're gonna go by in the school system.
Now, what about the charter schools? What type of control do they have over their curriculum and over their learning?
They have a little more control because they're more private So they have a little more control. Here in this city, we're going through a lot of regentrification in the inner city, and they're buying up a lot of the properties in Atlanta. However, they are not going to enforce or encourage African American studies or sex education because that is going to uplift a certain generation, if you follow me.
Yeah, certain culture of people.
Yes.
It's kind of deep.
So we're against all odds,
Yeah.
and we got to come together as a collective to make it happen. We got to become independent. We can't depend on them. We have to depend on us. You know, for so many years, we've always looked to a leader to follow to cause change, and that's nothing against the Martin Luther Kings or the Malcolm X's or anything of that nature. They were great leaders. However, we shouldn't have to wait to a leader to step forward and say, "You're right, we're going to follow you." We need to take it within ourselves to make change and move forward.
So do you want to give us a takeaway on, on the subject that we're talking about? Music.
You know, I think that I don't believe in. I think marching in the streets is old school. Singing "We Shall Overcome," and I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about education and hip hop music and all that. So, as a result, money rules the world. And if we take our dollars and bring them together as a collective and say, "Hey, we won't tolerate this, but we will accept that," that'll create the change within our schools, within the rap music, movies, videos. They even have Ku Klux Klan on the Fortnite videos now, and you can run from them or chase them or whatever, and that's just crazy to me. So I think if we really put our money together, we can move forward and say, "Listen, this is what it's going to take to create change. We're going to keep our money in our pocket until we demand change."
Well, thank you so very much for joining us. I really appreciate it. We had a great time, great information, but it's a system that's continuous. So, I mean, we as parents, we as adults, we have to help our children. So just remember, everything you heard and everything we said was our point of view.